Hey everybody, Carlo here again, Forge Glory Custom Leathercraft. Putting some art on this, the back flap here for Star Bobber's heat shield for her bobber. And this is what I do. Sometimes I come up with my own image, sometimes I find stuff that other people will send me images that they want, and I'll do that. But I definitely always do this tracing. I always print it out, I always have it on paper, and then I put it on the art this way. The reason why is because this stuff's expensive. You can imagine how much all this cost, how much all this leather cost, and so I can't mess it up. If I mess it up, because I decided I wanted to go all freehand, and then I'm out a lot of money if it doesn't look good. So I'll make sure the art looks good before I put it on there. And so I'll come up with a design on the computer, or I'll freehand draw it. That way I have it on paper. So then I'll print it out or whatever, and then I just take regular packing tape and I put it on, and I just, pretty much laminate the art with the packing tape and then draw it on there. The tool I'm using to do this is a special tool. It's not a pen, so it's got two different edges on there. One's more like will draw more like a ballpoint pen, and then this is more of a point. I prefer the point whenever I'm doing my art, because I can get the smaller details. This is a pretty simple piece of art here. She didn't actually order for this art to be on there. I'm just throwing it on extra for her. I figured her name is Estrella in Spanish. Estrella Alvarez is her name. And so Estrella means star in English. So I figured I'd put a star on it. Now, when I was a rookie starting in this, right now I would just pull it off. But I've learned that sometimes I forget to do some lines, and that makes things hard. So I always take it off first and make sure. And now, the handy dandy swivel knife. Any leather worker is going to have one of these. This is probably the most important tool you should have if you're going to be doing leather work. And so all art is drawn on the paper and then on the leather, and then once it's on the leather, you got to cut into it. So that's 3 times that you have to draw the same thing up, and then a 4th time when you use the different tools to make the texture. So each piece of art, what is that, 4 times? Each piece of art has to be drawn 4 times. Paper, leather, and then with the swivel knife and then with the tools. And so this part is actually going to be under the seat, so it's not the most visible. That's kind of why I went with the more simplistic design. If it was going to be on the flap, I would want, I want to show off a little bit with my art skills, but since this is going to be kind of hidden underneath the seat, did something a little more simple. There we go. Now for the other tools, where'd they go? I think I'm going to use this. I'm just going to grab a whole bunch, decide what I'm going to do here. Okay, so this one is a beveler. And you see how it's not straight here, it's beveled. And a lot of people will sit there and tap, 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 just like that. But what I don't like, I don't know if you can see it, it leaves all those, imperfect indentions there. So when it's just a beveler, I just use the natural pressure of my hand to do that, to make it pop out. I mean, if you wanted the bevels to be really deep, hammer's probably better. Easier at least. The deeper you want it, the more pressure you're going to have to put on it. I'm miscutting this line here. Oh, a little bit about the mechanics of a swivel knife. So while you're cutting, it's on this little pivot thing so that you can cut different shapes really easily. So you're not just making a line, 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 where this one's just lines. So, but usually with other things, you'd be able to cut curves and all that good stuff. There we go. I think I'm going to do another bevel on that edge. I think I'm going to texture the center with my texturing tool. And I'll show that one to you here in a second. Okay. A couple more lines, and we'll get to that texturing tool. Now, I'm not sure if you can really see that, but it's making the art stand up. It's really hard to capture on camera. In person, it looks a lot better. Like one person said, I made it look 3D. So, here are my 3 texturing tools. Use this one for the small spaces, medium spaces, large spaces. But don't have a whole lot of large spaces, so I'm not going to use this one. Now, this one is one that you want to tap with. Not liking that, so I'm going to use this bigger one. Oof. The noise of that ruler kind of annoys me. There we go. I mean, I've done art pieces that take hours. But with this one, I'm doing a little simple thing. There Now, I don't know if if you guys are following her on Instagram or anything, but she's not as she said, she's more of a punk rock girl. And so I'm not doing anything, I didn't want to do anything too cutesy for her, because I don't think that would suit her personality and what she's doing. Her bobber is all flat black, and she's turning it into a true bobber. Don't know if you guys know what you go out there and you see a lot of bikes and they're like, oh, this is a bobber, and I look at it, I'm like, that's not a bobber. So a bobber, the mantra of a bobber is, if it doesn't go, it's got to go. It's a minimalist bike. True bobbers won't even have headlights. They were made more for racing. So they took off all the weight so that it would go faster. And, hers is a street legal bike. And so she's got to keep all the... And she's in California, so they got a little more rules than do out here in Tennessee where I'm from. And so she's got to keep all the things that make her bike street legal in California. And one of the plans she told me about was that she was going to, chop the rear fender. And I was like, oh, you know what you're doing. Because the word bob is an old word that means cut short. Like, the old women haircuts. Back in the day, they were called bobs whenever they were cut short. That's just what it means. It's a 1920, more 1930s word that we don't use anymore. Kind of lost its meaning over time. It just means that it's cut short. And so you bob the fenders, you cut the fenders short, the front, the rear. A lot of bobbers won't even use a front fender. And, you take the headlights off, you take everything off. And so she's kind of doing that with her bike, but still keeping it street legal. Now this is when she said that she wants this for when she takes her trips. And so it's going to have as I said, it's going to have the 2 pouches on the side, and it's going to be easily removable for her. And so pretty much pouches will be on the side, and this is where the seat connects to the bike, and then the springs are going to sit right around here, because she has a true bobber seat on it. It's one of those Springer seats, so she's going to have to cut a couple holes here and then a hole here. The seat will fit there, and so this will be kind of under the seat, and so when you're walking up to it, you'll be able to see it, but not very much. But I wanted to make that look nice, so it's not just a flat piece of leather. So yeah, I think we're done with this. Very simple, very easy design, but that's how I do it. About 3-4 different tools that I use. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please hit like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And just remember, here at Forge Glory, we're all about the leather, your design, and my shop all coming together to make some great products. Have a wonderful day.